Hi, I'm Rashonda Cade. This is Reading with Rashonda. We are reading The House Behind the Cedars by Charles Chesnutt. We are on chapter 3, and it's a short little thing. We should be able to make it through the whole thing this video. So here we go. Chapter 3, The Old Judge. On the morning following the visit to his mother, Warwick visited the old judge's office. The judge was not in, but the door stood open, and Warwick entered to await his return. There had been fewer changes in the office, where he had spent many hours, than in the town itself. The dust was a little thicker, the papers in the pigeonholes of the walnut desk were a little yellower, the cobwebs in the corners a little more aggressive. The flies droned as drowsily, and the murmur of the brook below was just as audible. Warwick stood at the rear window and looked out over a familiar view. Directly across the creek, on the low ground beyond, might be seen the dilapidated stone foundation of the house where once had lived Flora MacDonald, the Jacobite refugee, the most romantic character of North Carolina history. I'm just excited that I know what they mean by the Jacobite refugee. I'm reading the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon, and they talk about the Jacobites. I know what they mean. You probably already knew, but I did not know, so I'm excited. I'll keep reading. Old Judge Straight had had a tree cut away from the creek side opposite the window so that this historic ruin might be visible from his office, for the judge could trace the ties of blood that connected him collaterally from this famous personage. His pamphlet on Flora MacDonald, printed for private circulation, was highly prized by those of his friends who were fortunate enough to obtain a copy. To the left of the window, a placid mill pond spread its wide expanse, and to the right, the creek disappeared under a canopy of overhanging trees. I just thought, it's not fair for me to be excited about knowing what a Jacobite refugee is, and assuming you know, you probably do, but maybe you don't. So in Scotland, in the 18th century, there was war between the Scottish and the British. And to be honest, I don't exactly remember what side the Jacobites were, but I know they lost. So there was like a war between two people who could be British kings, and France backed one of the people, Bonnie Prince Charlie, they called him, and he lost. Okay, my history is really bad. But the Jacobite refugees are Scottish people who lost in the war and came to the US and settled. All right, that was my poor history lesson, and I'll keep reading. A footstep sounded in the doorway, and Warwick, turning, faced the old judge. Time had left greater marks upon the lawyer than upon his office. His hair was whiter, the stoop more pronounced. When he spoke to Warwick, his voice had some of the shrillness of old age, and in his hand, upon which the veins stood out prominently, a decided tremor was perceptible. "Good morning, Judge Straight," said the young man, removing his hat with the graceful southern deference of the young for the old. "Good morning, sir," replied the judge with equal courtesy. "You don't remember me, I imagine," suggested Warwick. "Your face seems familiar," returned the judge cautiously, "but I cannot for the moment recall your name. I shall be glad to have you refresh my memory." "I was John Walden, sir, when you knew me." The judge's face still gave no answering light of recognition. "Your old office boy," continued the younger man. Why is he doing this? If he wants to be a white man, stop going back to your black roots. I mean, I get you want to, but stop. Stop. You're going to ruin yourself here. Why is he doing this? Your old office boy, continued the younger man. "Ah, indeed, so you were," rejoined the judge warmly, extending his hand with great cordiality, and expecting Warwick more closely through his spectacles. "Let me see, you went away a few years before the war, wasn't it?" "Yes, sir, to South Carolina." Yes, I remember now. I had been thinking it was to the north. So many things have happened since then that it taxes an old man's memory to keep track of them all. Well, and how have you been getting along?" Warwick told his story in outline, much as he had given it to his mother and sister, and the judge seemed very much interested. "And you married into a good family?" he asked. "Yes, sir." "And have children?" "One." "And you are visiting your mother?" "Not exactly. I have seen her, but I am stopping at a hotel." Are you staying long?" "I leave tomorrow." It's well enough I wouldn't stay too long. The people of a small town are inquisitive about strangers, and some of them have long memories. I remember we went over the law, which was in your favor, but custom is stronger than law. In these matters, custom is law. Let's read that again. I remember we went over the law, which was in your favor, but custom is stronger than law. In these matters, custom is law. Ooh, that does not bode well. If custom is law, the things we're used to are legal to us. It was a great pity that your father did not make a will. Well, my boy, I wish you continued good luck. I imagined you would make your way. Warwick went away, and the judge sat for a moment, absorbed in reflection. Right and wrong, he mused, must be eternal verities, but our standards for measuring them vary with our latitude and our epoch. We make our customs lightly, once made like our sins. They grip us in bands of steel. We become the creatures of our creations. By one standard, my old office boy should never have been born, yet he is a son of Adam and came into existence in the way ordained by God from the beginning of the world. In equity, he would seem to be entitled to his chance in life. It might have been wiser, though, for him to seek it farther afield than South Carolina. It was too near home, even though the laws were with him. I totally agree. Why did he decide to be a white man just one state away? Go a bunch of states away and don't come back. And if you do come back, don't go telling random people who you are. What are you doing, Warwick? Even the judge right here, he's talking about Warwick in past tense. In equity, he would seem to be entitled to his chance in life. It might have been wiser, though, for him to seek it farther afield than South Carolina. It was too near home, even though the laws were with him. None of this bodes well. And that's the end of this chapter. It was a tiny little thing, so today's reading was short. Warwick, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You're a man. We've talked about this, right? You're a man, I'm a man, white man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man. Be a man. Have the courage of your convictions. You're going to walk away and be white. Walk away and be white then. That's what you got to do. Anyway, I'm all riled up. Sorry about that. We are reading The House Behind the Cedars by Charles Chesnutt. I'm Rashonda Cave. This is Reading with Rashonda.